Hello and welcome to the Big Money Stylist podcast. Episode number, where are we at, like 25?
75!
Number 403. We're like Oprah. You get a number, you get a number. We don't actually know where we're at. I'm pretty sure we are at number 25. And today we're going over everybody's favorite topic.
Oh, spicy.
It's the spicy one. It is protection. Protection. So, Danielle.
What are we protecting nowadays? Gee, same thing?
What are we not fucking protecting nowadays? I feel like this week has been a very interesting week. As everybody knows, BMS Con ended 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago now. And because of that, we have so many more people inside of Mastermind. Yeah. I've been getting a lot of messages of artists going, did you know so-and-so has been teaching an NBR class? And I was like, motherfucker, no, you have not. So, Faith.
Well, it's not an NBR class.
Oh, no. Faith, if you're listening, you're on my radar along with Lauren, you little bitch. You are too. Lauren's the one that was talking a ton of shit on BMS and Garrett and everybody and got kicked out. Now she's mad about it. Turns out it's not my fucking problem, is it? You should have been such an asshole.
I don't even know who that is.
I know, because we handle it quietly and silently.
Yeah.
This
Until
was
it's podcast day. And then it's publicly and loudly.
Well, here's what happened. Right, this was maybe like a week before BMS Con. This little asshole sent a message to a friend of hers who then sent it to one of our artists, her pod leader, and basically the whole thing was like, I'm not going to go to BMS Con because fuck that. I can still do MBR even if I'm not certified. I don't care. It was all about Garrett, really, in that the business was terrible and Garrett is, quote, unprofessional. And has she not been listening to the same shit we have? I'm like, yeah, that's why we're amazing. Are you not listening to the same shit we are?
It's just tricky. The accountability factor is low. So, but let's bring this show in and talk about, before we get down to the dark and dirty. let's just kind of touch base. So, basically, we're 3 hairstylists. I created a system called Natural Beaded Rose. I own a salon in Laguna Beach called DKW Styling. About 7 years ago, I kind of decided to take what took me over a decade to create and market myself, and created the name and the trademark name Natural Beaded Rose, and started taking on teaching small classes, things like that. I had a shadowing course where people would come and I would teach them, and it was fairly new. Like, nobody was really doing any kind of beaded weft or beaded row, and this was like something that I created that was kind of all new, and it just based off my experience of what I liked in my hair. I literally was just trying to find a solution for my own hair, and along the way, like, I was like, oh, this works for clients, and then people slowly started to want to learn more and more. And so in the beginning, when I started my brand, like anybody else, starting right out of the gate, I was just kind of a hairstylist, like sharing my passion, and I finally, for the first time, was like, okay, people want to learn, I should probably charge them. So I started offering courses and classes. I never really certified anybody. I just offered courses and just kind of shared my passion and my love, and like just kind of got to this point where I'm like, I'm not just gonna like teach for free, and I started charging people. And then it was one of those things where it was just kind of like one class and done, and if you didn't actually like stick to it, you didn't have the success. And so it created a lot of chaos, because people would go and try to implement this with their system or with their students. But the problem with extensions and how they're taught in our marketplace right now is it is one class and done, but yet you would never go to one class of color and then be expected to perform that on clients. You would never go to one cutting class and expect to perform that on clients. It's a series of hours. I went to 2,000 hours just to get a license in cutting and coloring. Do you know what I mean? And so that's something that's not touch base on it, but that was just kind of like what you did. Like, you just showed someone. And so I discredited my experience and what I created, and I was just like, hey, learn it all in one day. And it didn't work. And so then I would kind of get like sad and discouraged, because it wasn't like it wasn't working, but then people would kind of go turn the other way and they would talk shit. And I was like, well, I know it works. Like, I'm doing it on my hair. I'm offering it to clients. Clients are having a great experience. And I really always kind of poured all my heart and passion into my art and into my work. And it kind of, for years, it would backfire, and people, I felt like I was teaching them, and then they would just talk shit. And I was like, well, just don't use the tool. Like, if you're not willing to put in the time, like, there's no reason to be bitter about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, just don't use the tool. And so for years and years and years, I just was like, oh, man. And then that's why we revamped our education. We now call it Big Money Stylist, hence the name of this podcast, Big Money Stylist. And we really just upped the bar. I brought my husband in, who all he does is events. He created a program called Wake Up Warrior, and he's had tons of success with that. And I'm like, you know what, I need a whole nother element than just like the one class and done. And also I needed just more like business and mindset, and I really needed to marry up those things with Natural Beaded Rose. And so that's what became Big Money Stylist. And over the years of teaching it, the education part of it just gets better and better, and the students get better results based on our education rising and that kind of thing. But the students, I mean, you have to put in the work like just like anything. But we learn and grow, and we figure out as educators along the way like what's working, and we're always trying to up our bar to become better ourselves and also have our students come better, because it levels up our entire industry. And unfortunately along the way, you have people who see this as success, and it just doesn't work out, and we kick people out of our program if they're a dead, what is that, a
dead weight.
Dead weight, like
they gotta go.
They're not supporting it, and they can actually, and you'll see this in many industries and many businesses where you get like the shit talkers or the trolls, and those trolls like to group together, but we don't allow trolls in our group. We just don't. So if we don't feed on that negative energy, and we're like, if you're not willing to do the work, if you're being entitled, or if you don't have to be here, so bye-bye, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this class isn't for everyone.
And so it gets to this place where then people see maybe the rise of it or whatever, and then they begin to talk shit, or they begin to get bugged or whatever. And I'm like, the door was always open. You were always welcome to be part of this journey, to be a part of this education. And if you choose in, I will pour all my heart and soul. We will pour all our heart and soul into educating you so that you have better lives, a better experience, better client, but like better everything. But if you're not going to do the work, we're not going to hold your hand. And it's just crazy, because the door's always been open, and yet you still get people who are like, well, it's not that good. But I used to get so pissed, and now I look at it as like, you're not that good.
Yeah.
You didn't choose to put in the work. I'm going to hold up a big mirror, and it's going to be ugly to see what's really going on. And so what it took, when I want to get fired up about it, I'm kind of like, I've come to this realization in this place with students like that, where I'm like, it's total bullshit, and I can't save you, and we always say that. And even though it triggers us and it bugs us, like it gets to this point where I'm like, the door is always open, and here's the mirror. But if you're going to be a total asshole, you're not invited back in. You know what I mean? Like it's just what it is. And so we started this show to really, because for years I felt like I needed to air out my dirty laundry, kind of like, not really, but I just felt like, I'm like, you know what, there's a lot of like bullshit that goes on in our industry, and I'm not cool with it anymore, because I genuinely believe in what we're doing and the success our students are having, and I'm not gonna do it anymore. And so the more we do the podcast, the more like the positive stuff rolls in. We're like, people are like, oh my god, thank you so much, like this is so amazing. Or clients come in and they're like, oh, I didn't know salons like Habit in Arizona totally ripped off your thing, and they're not even the same experience, or whatever it is. But it's like, I just felt like, I'm like, I just want to get it out there. And then there's new people like training on it and this and that. And it's like, I get to the point where I'm like, I can't let it like bog me down so much, because I have to have like a focus on my mission and where I'm going, and just kind of always like just know where I'm going and be like, it is what it is. But now it's like, it's just been cool, because people have gotten a lot of value even from this podcast and listening, and like kind of got power back behind the chair and everything like that. So each week we have a different topic that we discuss, and we get very fiery about protection, because it's not even about me anymore trying to protect my brand. It's like you guys, it's our students, it's like everybody. Like we can't have Sally Sue, who's saying she's certifying Sarah Sue in MBR, say that they're the same thing. Like we bleed for it, and we put so much effort into it, and so do our students. So this topic of protection, if you go back and listen to any of the other podcasts and it seems feisty, it's because we're too deep. We're too far in, and we're like, no, we're doing this, and we're giving it our all.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like I just like rambled, but I wanted, before we like jumped in and like ripped heads off, because I saw Ani's energy as soon as we got in here. I'm like, heads are rolling, where this is gonna go spicy. But really, like, our goal is really like,
but it isn't like a bullying protection.
Yeah,
it's like you're keeping it safe and sacred, and you're not wanting your product to get watered down. You're so much about quality over quantity, which is why you've built at the speed that you have, and now you have this momentum, and it's getting out there. The more it's getting out there, the more copycats we have, but we also have more eyes everywhere that
that
they're
we're
seeing
quality.
that. But yeah, so that's your main focus, is that people are getting a great experience, that when they hear NBR, that they're getting an amazing experience and an amazing product. And when you hear BMS, you're getting amazing education too. So that's why you're so protective of it, because you want that quality there.
Right. And
and that's a good thing. That's nothing mean or bully or anything.
Right. It's just it's I always get a bit like mind boggled. I'm like, really? But then I'm like, you guys be swap. I told you I'm gonna be Kerastas. If you want to join this train, like that's where we're going. So
well, and I think it's funny because you're right. Heads have been, I feel like, rolling all week because I've just been getting message after message, because now it's not just like our eyes and ears that are out there looking. It's literally all of our students and all of our artists, because they've invested so much to be here, so much time and energy and like blood, sweat, and tears to learning NBR and like growing their business. They're like, why the fuck is Sally Sue supposedly training other people? And I'm like, no. That's never going to be allowed. Like, I got this. And they send me a lot of shit every week. And I immediately just start forwarding it to our teams, because I'm like, this is not. So this week I feel has been a week of like, all eyes are everywhere.
Right. Well, and we're literally at the point where we're like, "Okay, guys, we got your back." Like, if students, I don't look at people like Pam as a threat anymore, more of a nuisance. And I just am like, I'm like, it's cool, but I want my students to know, like, I got your back. So we issue letters and we protect, and we have like a full-time contracted lawyer on our team.
Yeah.
Because
and we take care of it, but then we bring their focus back to you need to do the work to get the results and not worry about what they're doing over there.
Don't worry about Pam. She's got some cats, and that's cool. Like, let Pam be cat lady. It's fine. So it is what it is. And if you, for
cat
me,
lady,
like,
not NBR lady.
No. And it's true though, because like for me, for years, I'd get so pissed at like when people would rip off my method, and I knew I'd have clients that would go and be like, that's not the same experience you're offering, Danielle. And so like I would just have to dial it in and be like, you know what? The only thing I can do is just offer like the best experience I know how to get. Like, treat others as you want to be treated. As simple as it sounds, I genuinely believe that. And so that's kind of where I go in with like my mindset is like, hey, I care about you, and I want you to have good hair, and I don't want to like fry your hair off and then kick you out the door. And I want you to feel like you are welcome here and you connected. And like, hair day is an amazing day. Like, every girl should not stress about hair day. They should be like excited about hair day. And so I just knew, I'm like, as many copycats and crap that's going on out there, and as much as we're protecting it, my main goal is to really focus on the like just quality and experience, and do all that I can do, and train my team on that, so that it's not just me that's offering that, but that you guys, like, we do it as a team. And that I genuinely think like it reflects, like, when we're working together, you can tell like the clients feel it. They're just like, oh my God, like everybody's kind of talking and like acknowledging, and it's just like a really cool space and vibe that we have built because we hold ourselves to a higher standard. So anyway.
So let's talk about this, though.
I gotta turn down the air. You talk for a second.
Okay, good talk. So Danielle's literally going to step out of the building at this exact moment. So then let's talk about this. So Danielle kind of brought it up that Pam, we're just going to throw in the bus for sorry about this, but it's going to happen. But I mean, really, like, this is what's been happening now. We're seeing that artists who at one point in time, they came and they learned NBR from Danielle, or they did the online course, which we no longer offer, so don't even ask about it. But they went through, they did this, and then once again, they didn't put in the work, or all of a sudden, they didn't get their name on some fucking list that literally didn't even exist at the time anyway.
Yeah.
They get super butthurt about it, and then all of a sudden, they're just pissed off. Danielle, you got a duck. And then all of a sudden, they get just like pissed off about everything, and now they feel they're entitled to something, and their response, instead of being like, you know what, I should probably work and get a little bit better, their response is to say, well, NBR sucks anyway, but I'm going to make a new method called BMR, and it's going to be even better.
But is that what it's called?
I have no idea what the fuck she calls it. She, on her website, I'm going to just call you out right now, Pam. On your fucking website, you're like, I learned NBR, and I'm certified NBR, but I changed it and made it better. You fucking know you didn't change shit to make it better. And here's a fun fact. I know people that have called her and then like, oh, are you doing NBR? And she's like, yeah, I am.
See, that's what bugs me is like even like bigger classes or bigger education people, when students call and they're saying, oh, I want to learn NBR, and they're like, oh, well, it's the same. I'm like, douchebag. Like, don't say you changed it and then use me as marketing. Don't use NBR because you know the quality's there and you know that's what people are wanting, and say, yeah, but it's the same thing. How about you just be better? Don't be bitter, be better.
she can't be better because she didn't make up shit on her own. She stole it from someone else and then claimed that it's better, and it's literally the same fucking thing. Yeah. And that's what blows my mind. Also, remind me to show you guys a picture later of someone else who's claiming to do NBR, who is trained apparently by someone else, which, guys, I get these pictures every day. The girl literally had a shaved head except for the top. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to laugh at this because the picture is just, I saw it and I'm like, what the hell? But this is the kind of stuff we're seeing, and I think that's why we get so fiery and like fired up about it. At least I know I do. We've spent so much time, effort, and energy literally day in and day out to make sure that not only like NBR as a brand continues to grow, but like you said, like the experience is there, the quality is there, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, I do NBR too on almost a completely shaved head. I'm like, no. You are not doing NBR. I'm gonna need you to stop saying that. Along with the people who come to a class and then go back and then teach the entire salon. With all due respect, your work is still shitty.
Right.
You can't teach your shitty work to someone else. Number one, it's not allowed. You signed papers saying that you wouldn't do it. Number two, your work is garbage. Like, you cannot do that. And then it continues to dilute it more and more, and that's so fucking frustrating.
Right.
So
I've been going through this for years. Like, literally, I'm glad that you're on the fiery end of it now, because like I'd like lose sleep over. I'm like, fucking dicks, I'm out, I'm over it, and I'd want to like throw in the towel so many times. But now I think because it's not just like, and I've shared this before, like it's not just about me. Like, I've built it to the point where there's like a lot of students, there's a tribe, I know the quality's there, and so I'm not throwing in the towel. Like, that's not going to happen. So the only thing left to do is just protect what we're building and offer a better experience and quality over even quantity, to be honest with you. And I think that there's a market for that, and those are the type of clients that I want to cater to. And even clients now, our students are clients, you know what I mean? Yeah. And those students are easier to work with. I don't want to work with Pam's. I don't. I know that that's like her set goal is where she's reached her set goal. I'm not interested in working with that anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in working with large salon owners and people who actually take their job serious and who find the art and passion in doing hair, and they really like put their all into it, and they do amazing work, and they attend tons of classes. Like, that's the stylist I want as my client as well.
Yes.
It's a whole nother, I'm like I said, I'm upping the bar everywhere. And it's interesting for me. I feel like even though we're like, fucking dicks, or like copying and all this shit, like for me, it almost pushes me. It fuels me even more. I'm like, you assholes think you're delivering I'm going to just keep like pushing and pushing and pushing.
And the contrast is going to become greater and greater.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, you're cute. How are you down there? Hope that's working out. Remember, the door was always open, but you decided to be a dickhead? Cool. See you in the shitter. Like, I mean, it is what it is. So that's kind of like, that's just the direction I want to go. And I know we'll get there. Like I was telling Garrett yesterday, I'm like, I know that we're on so many people's radars, good and bad. But I'm like, and I'm just going to continue to do my thing. And I know it will not go unnoticed, and I know we're already there. I mean, we had our huge BMS class with over 350 students. We have 2 more classes with another 350 students. That's 700 students.
Dang.
And then plus we have a whole nother list of fall classes, which will, like, people are emailing me every day. When can I get in? When can I get in? And our classes are not inexpensive. They're $4,000 a class, which is the highest paying class that you can get in all of hair right now. Yep. Mm-hmm. And people are like, I want to get in. And again, it's not like we're like packing them in like a tiny little room and we're like, here's a bag of Cheetos. Like we're over delivering across the board, and that's where people. I want to go.
It's 20 people inside of this class, and there's a reason we did it. Yes, it's a high price point, but at the same time, the quality that you're getting, 3 weeks of pre-training, we pay for your hotel, you're here for 2 days live in Laguna. There's so much training involved in it that we more than deliver everything that we ever promise on.
Right.
And the pre-training itself is like worth everything. And then the class hasn't even freaking started then.
And it literally just gets better and better. And that's what I love about it is I feel like I feel like protection mode never really leaves, because we're always like, okay, well, that was a great event, but how do I make it better now? Right. Now what do I do to like change this, change that? And it's like a constant progression, which I feel even comes down to like employees, which what we're seeing now a lot with like the students inside of the network and things like that you can love your teammates, or you hate some of them too, but there comes a point where you sometimes have to leave people, or like have them leave the salon and team, and that shit's hard. Right. And they've been facing a lot now. So like Val, like you obviously have an employee, like I just hired someone on, so like how does it feel? Not like that Jill's shitty, like she's amazing, but you know, like, but knowing like
Jill.
yeah, for sure, but knowing like there could be a time like when you have like, if like Danielle, you have a salon, like knowing like shit, I might have to let someone go, and not because you don't love them, but because it's like the vibe is wrong, or they're just not
I've
a
had
good
to do
fit.
that so many times though, and that's what's so crazy, but it actually does get easier. I think the first time you like get to that point where you like feel like you poured so much energy and time into somebody, and then you realize like it's actually it gets to this point where you feel like it's holding you back too much. And ultimately I think that's where business owners fail, is they don't care enough about themselves, and so then they get depleted and they look at their business and they're like, this isn't even making me enough money to make it worth it. And so as a business owner myself, and even talking like with Garrett the last few weeks, I'm like, if the business isn't working, then it's not in anybody's favor. It will actually hold you back. And so for years I had assistants and people that worked with me, and I felt stuck. I felt stagnant because I kept them on trying to kind of save them and not protecting myself, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a shitty place to be. But now that I recognize that with myself, I come to this peaceful place with people where I'm like, hey, I love you. And like, it's been fun. Some people are like, we talk about this all the time. Like some people are in your life for like seasons, and some people are in like for a lifetime or longer. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of how it is. And so you can't discredit that maybe the role they played was a learning experience for you. And that you're now like ready to move on, and they're ready to move on. You know what I mean? And that's where the peaceful place I get to. And it's like the bigger we get in business, actually, to be honest with you, I know you guys like filled a lot of drama from me, so I don't see it. But I feel like I'm getting more and more in a peaceful place, which I'm getting back to like just focus, like tunnel vision, like go. And I'm looking out for myself, my family, my business, because ultimately a successful business owner, that's what they should be doing. So
Absolutely. And Val, knowing like you are now an employee of someone, almost like a human, but yes, like you have an employee, like how does it feel knowing like, because obviously like you've had hard talks, you've had great talks, like there's so much in between. It's not just like every day is great. Like some days are definitely harder than others. Like how do you feel now like managing someone else and knowing that you also, yes, you're protecting her, but you're also always protecting yourself as well?
Yeah, and that is like, I have that selfish bone in my body where I want her to thrive and succeed, but I am always looking at things in the mode of me and my family. So if it's not serving me to grow in my business, which is what she's there for, and it's not helping me have like a better life, like with my family, like to have that balance, I'll always choose me and my family over. But I'll catch myself like always picking other people first and working really hard, because I just am like a hard worker by nature. But I do always have to go in protection mode and like, is this actually helping the business? Is this helping you get to where you want to go? Is this okay for like you and your family? And when I get in that protection mindset, it's easy for me to make non-emotional decisions, but just kind of like, does this make sense? No, this doesn't make sense. This isn't working. So let's address this. This is working. Let's keep going with this. So I just think it's kind of constantly self-evaluating like where you're at in the business, and then like what's not working, you got to course correct and change it, whether it's their attitude, the work that they're delivering, the way that I'm conducting things, what I'm allowing. A lot of times it's like me that I'm just, you know, you get attached to people, you get like, you know, lazy about stuff or comfortable. I don't want to get comfortable ever. So I always am like having to like cross-check myself and making sure too, am I being a good employee, you know? So just always looking and editing, I feel like is kind of where my mindset is at in protection, so that I can keep growing.
It's funny because I feel like for me, I hate like confrontation. I'm like, oh, and I'm like the type of person that I'll like suffer until I just like all of a sudden I'm like, ah! And so I've tried to be better about that. And really for me, like hiring on my first like assistants is like helped me like kind of be like, no, you need to do this, and not be like, please do this. I hope they do this, and then be mad that they didn't do it. And so for me, that kind of helped me like be like, okay, like how you said, like you dial back and you reevaluate and you see where you're at and kind of things like that. But it's just all part of like the learning process, and it's just kind of how it goes. And ultimately, like I'm excited for you guys. Like you
just have to know, like you are running a business, and that's like what this podcast is you are running a business. And I think with girls and stuff, like everything gets like so emotional, but it's okay to be like, hey, this isn't working. I mean, we just had a meeting the other day. This isn't working. These are numbers. This is like, and this is where we're going to course correct that. And it wasn't, I mean, there were some emotions, but like
tears.
For the most
There
part,
was
like
one tear, just one.
It was just like facts and written out, and I honestly was like, this is a really honest conversation, and I appreciate that, you know.
And I think that's the same thing, because going into it, I think at first, not that everyone was scared, but they were like, what the fuck, what's happening? And you hear that number, you hear like a number and you're like, ah. But then all of a sudden, when it was literally painted out, we sat there and I was like,
it's not.
That's what I'm saying though. Like when you hear that initial number, you're like, ah, wait, what? But then when you look at it on paper, I sat there and I'm like, okay, it's basically the same. It's not really that far off. It's not that different.
So I'll kind of fill you listeners in. So we teach our students all the time, like, you have to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers. You can't be that business owner that's just like ignorant with your numbers, even if you don't have any employees. But I know, and Ani talks about this a lot. She'll be like, I made so much money. And then you're like, well, where'd it go? Like when you when you didn't work for us, and you're like, and so many people, so many stylists in general are so into the art that they forget about the numbers, and they think they're making like $100 an hour, $200 an hour, $1,000 an hour. And then they're like, oh shit, why doesn't my bank account reflect this? It's because you're not really dialing in the numbers. And even as a salon owner, I've had so many friends and people who own salons that like break even, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing it for then? You know what I mean? And so even with myself, like when we're teaching in numbers, like I had to go, like as my team's expanding, I'm like, all right, it's game day. Like we got to figure out where our numbers are at and make adjustments to it. And it's interesting too when we had our meeting, because I had to like show the stylists the numbers and show them where we're at, but give them realistic expectations. It reminded me of when I was like, when you first like went from booth rent to commission, because as a hairstylist, like the end all be all is always booth rent, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where you feel like the most opportunity, and I remember like I was like, oh my God, like I might lose Val, but I can't continue to operate, like I can't be a booth rent salon anymore. And I had to, as a business owner, be like, okay, here's the new proposition. And I was like, but here's the potential income, and here's the numbers. And you were like, okay, let's do it. And sometimes it's like you have to take a little step back to take a huge step forward. And that's always how business goes. I feel like that's
always how it's been here. Like not here, but just like having that mindset. Yeah. Like even taking Jill on, like my appointments had to go so much longer to go back so I can like train, but it's like propelled me. Now we're always like, I'm so excited for the expansion, because like I know we can bang them out in 2 hours, you know? But it was that going back to go forward, and that's never led me wrong here. And that's why like I really appreciate you and Garrett. Like always, you guys are super protective of us. So when you come at us with stuff like that, and you're so honest, and it's I know you're protecting the business and you want all of us to succeed. So that's why that conversation is so easy, I feel like, to have and to receive on our end. I'm like, okay, we got to go back to go forward. Like, I'm so down.
And you've been with me from like the beginning. So I think even though you're like, it seems scary when we have these kind of meetings, because I'm like, guys, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
But then I feel like we always push through it, like always. And it's like, so I don't know, for me, and I've just learned that in business, that like sometimes it's like, okay, this is scary, but this is the next step. And it actually forces you a little bit out of your comfort zone, where, like you said, you pick up your speed, you can increase clients. And so like, then you're like, oh my God, I'm at a whole nother capacity and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And it's because I was willing to take a step backwards in order to take 3 leaps forward.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just think like, I feel like I'm getting off the topic of protection, but it's just.
But you were, that whole meeting that we had was protecting the salon to make sure it was still going in an upward motion and going forward, because it not only affects just our salon, it affects all of our students.
Yeah, it's no longer about just our salon. We can't be like, just unicorns and rainbows and you guys got it, MBR. Like we have to hold ourselves to such a standard that it's constantly upping the bar. So, and it's cool because I think you and I, well, all of us kind of value growth. We're like growth junkies. And so we like understand, like for us to like, we're like, okay, we need to dial it in to go here. Like we get that. And it's not to say it's not scary, but I even think with a lot of stylists out there who are like, they don't want to hire, say example, an assistant, because you do. Like I even was doing a girl's hair today, and she was saying like, oh, I don't want to hire an assistant because I just think I'll just do it myself. And that's how women are. We don't want to delegate and train because we're just like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. It's faster if I do it myself.
Yeah.
Whereas I think guys naturally are like, they're better delegators.
Yeah.
And women tend to be like, it's just easier to do it myself. But that's why we always get to this implode mode where we're just like, I can't take on anymore.
Where you explode and everyone's like, I didn't even know anything was wrong.
Yeah.
Why is Val losing her shit today?
Because we continue to pile on and pile on and pile on and pile on. And ultimately we get to this space where you're like, you're in this, everybody's growth is based on like pain, that you're like, I'm willing to sacrifice and take a step back and take more time and train this person, because if I do, I create space and then I can move forward.
Yes.
And so it's mind-boggling to me, even in the hair world, when people are like, well, I don't know if I want to hire an assistant. I'm like, oh my God.
You know how much more you could get done?
I'm like, do you know, like, you will be alive at the end of the day. You maybe had a sandwich. You got to sit down, like, over, like it's crazy. Like, you'll be able to get done faster, fit more clients in. Like, it's just mind-boggling to me. So anyway, that's where I'm at today.
Good talk. All right. So, but jumping back once again to like DKW, like having changed like the money, the commission, everything like that, you know, that does, like Val said, that goes straight into protection. And that was something not risky that you and Garrett did, but you guys knew, like, changing everything like that, there was a chance like everyone could leave, you know, people are super.
But we had to get to that place.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but like you guys had to do this because DKW had to keep running. But I think that's something really like also like admirable about you two. Like, you're like, okay, like this is not working. We have to course correct. We have to change. This is what we're going to do. Right. And at that point, you gave everyone an option, which you guys like super laid out the numbers. And like I said, the minute I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's who's this shit? Like, it's totally fine. You know, like whatever, it's basically the same. But even then, like, you guys were able to do something that not a lot of people are, because we know you guys love us. Like, we're not just employees. Like, we all know, like, we are family. We're all super close. Like, we all love each other. But having to come and be like, hey, this is where we're going. We want you guys to stay. If you're in, that's great. If you're out, we still love you, but this is just not your place anymore. That's not something easy for people to do.
Well, and I'll just share like a kind of a quick personal story with you guys. Like, when Garrett was in banking and he had like hundreds of employees, and it was like when the market was going crappy, and I didn't really worry because I was like, Garrett can sell anything. Like, if the market goes down, he'll still be like, he'll be there. Like, he'll let go of employees, he'll make it work. But he didn't do that, and we didn't learn from that. And so now when we're rebuilding our empire, like, you have to learn from your mistakes or you're going to be stuck in the same place. And so for us in our personal life, like, he had hundreds of employees and half of them were his family. And I didn't know, but like, we were living on credit cards and racking up credit cards. And I'm just like thinking like, woo, easy money, you know, I have no idea what's going on. And he's just paying his employees, paying everybody out while we're suffering. And I don't know it because we're living on credit cards. Then all of a sudden he didn't even have the money to pay them out. And we were tapped out on credit cards. And now I'm like, well, fuck, this is a sticky situation. And I think I felt like I was on a ship that was sinking and I could see the water leaking in, but I was just putting some Band-Aids over it, hoping it would go away. But those Band-Aids, they just don't hold very well. And so that's how like it works in life. If like you don't course correct and you don't learn a lesson the first time around, you'll continue to go in that circular motion.
Definitely.
And I think because it was so painful for us, because like it's not like we just put one Band-Aid on. I had like 75 Band-Aids on, and like it was a shit show. Like, literally a ship was going down, and it was like a rough time in our life, and it was such a painful period. And it's not like it took us like a year to recover. It was a good shitty 5 years to rebuild our relationship, our finances, get out of debt and get out of the hole. We went from like having no money, selling shit, to put food on the tables, having to fire our families, like everything. And I was like, I will not go back to that place. And so as hard as it is to make tough choices in business and in life, I'm like, oh, fuck no. Oh, I will not put a Band-Aid on this any longer. Like, these are the hard choices that most people are not willing to make. And that's why most people quit before things get going. And they don't learn from it, and they stay in their same little spot. But I feel like because we went through so much, now I'm like, nope. And we're just constantly kind of course correcting. And so I always try to encourage everybody, like, inside of our education, I'm like, if you don't course correct, if you put a Band-Aid on this, if you ignore these problems, they will not ever go away. And you cannot grow in life if you don't figure out how to do it the right way. And it's scary a lot of times.
Well, and something Val and we had actually talked about, because we talked, I don't know if it was after the meeting or if it was yesterday. At this point, I don't really even know what day it is now. But we were talking about the meeting, and we're like, well, we think it went really great. Like, hey, like, we totally understand like why everything's happening. It's not, it is not an it is what it is, but like, hey, okay, cool. Like, we course corrected. It's awesome. And Val was saying, she's like, you know, she goes, she's like, I never had any doubt that I was going to stay. She's like, because Garrett and Danielle have never like let us wrong. They've always been like, hey, this is what we're doing. And she just said, all right, well, fuck it, I'm in. Let's just wherever this goes, it goes. But it's true. I think that's why like Val and I were always just like, you guys say, hey, this is where we're going, and we're like, all right,
do it.
Yeah, it is. We're loading up a room with people. Okay, we're doing a podcast. Okay, commission's changing. Okay, we're fucking doing it. Like for us, I just feel like it's always been a.
I honestly think everybody on the team is solid. I do.
Yeah.
And even I talked to Stacy. Stacy, if you're listening to this, you know you were the one that had a couple tears, but that's just you, Stacy. We love you. And Mackenzie talked to her, and we were like, "You good?" And she's like, "Yeah, this is how I am. I just need some. I'm gonna put on a positive attitude, and this is how I am." And I had to accept that with Stacy. But I told Garrett going into this meeting, I was like, these changes have to happen. I felt pretty good about it. I think everyone's gonna be good about it. And he's like, I know they are, but we still have to be like, hey, like, give them that option and be like, if you don't want to stay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And we did. And after the meeting, I was like, I think everybody's in. I think we're good. I think we're in. Are you guys in? I wanted to text you guys and be like, so are we good?
Well, and it's funny because we ended up on the phone after, and I was like, hey, don't forget tomorrow we're doing this, talking about like the live training and stuff. And then afterwards I talked to Val. She's like, yeah, I texted him, let him know I come in. And I was like, should I have done that? I'm like, was there ever any doubt that I wasn't?
When we called, I was like, no, she's cool. And then you text me immediately like, she's cool. And then Mackenzie did my hair the next day, and I'm like, she's cool.
Stacy, where you at? Can you text in now? Can you call us?
But today Stacy was good. But you told me this was Stacy, and I didn't know. You go, she needs 3 days. And I was like, okay, because I'd always get so sad. I'd be like, oh my God. And now I'm like, no, 3 days.
Did you see? I didn't even make eye contact during the meeting. I could feel everything. I was like, I'm not even. And then Garrett brought it up, and I was like, don't say anything. No, you gotta ignore. 3 days. 3 days.
And yesterday I saw her at the salon, and I ignored her, and she was like, bye. And I was like, and then today she's like, hi. And I was like, 2.5 days. Woo! Stacy!
Oh my God. But I felt almost kind of guilty when Mal's like, yeah, I texted him, told him I was all in. I was like, ooh, was I supposed to do that? Like, oh shit.
I'm out. I'm like,
oh, it's awkward.
Weird.
I'm like, I don't know. The minute we left,
Ian,
I'm like,
can you do BMS?
Yeah, right. You'll have to drag my corpse away from BMS for anyone else to take it.
And then your ghost will still run it.
Ghost on you, still running shit. But oh my God, I was dying. But then I was like, it's fine. I talked to Danielle. Garrett and I text back and forth. I'm like, they know I'm in, right? I mean, I'm still at work today, so I hope this isn't,
Hey,
weird.
but this is how we feel about even our students too. Like, if you're in with us, we're in with you. So just know that if you are a student of BMS or Natural Beauty Rose Education and you listen to our podcast, just know as long as you work hard and you hold up your end of the deal, you better believe we'll back you 100% of the way.
Oh, and they know. They'll send me messages, and I'm like, oh, I got you. Don't you worry. I tell them. And if you're not watching the podcast, you should go to bigmoneystylistnow.com because you can see what I'm about to do. But I always tell my students, I'm like, I have eyes everywhere. I am watching all the time. I think that partially terrifies them because they know I'm also watching them. But at the same time, it's like, I got your back. Don't you worry. But they know it. But even inside of that, what I think is something that actually happened to one of our students recently is she decided to rebrand herself. And I guess her and a friend had like a vintage shop called Blonde, BLOND. And it went down, didn't do great, whatever. Not a big deal. Shit happens, And so then this girl, our artist, was like, this was like 5 years ago or some shit. And she was like, hey, I'm going to rebrand. Like, I still own it. Like, are you cool if I reuse this? And her friend was like, yeah, I don't give a shit. They've been friends for 15 years. 15 years. So our artist spent $5,000 rebranding her website, her like fucking everything top to bottom, just for her friend to come back and be like, you shady bitch, you're so fake. Yeah.
Oh, and she said she could do it?
Yeah. Her friend, it's Katie. Katie's our artist. Katie's friend said that she could use it. So Katie went ahead and spent.
Maybe she didn't realize how pretty it would be.
And the new shit did come out amazing.
Yeah, right? Can you imagine? You're like, good luck with that.
And I swear, I think that's what happened. But here's what was super like nasty about it. Like, I know Katie's pain points because of BMS. Like, I've talked to her about these things before. And her friend, having known her for 15 years, knew exactly what to say to like super tear her down. And she was just like, you've never had an original thought in your life. You're so fake. You're so this, you're so that. And Katie, she is fucking delightful and awesome. And to me, she's so like genuine and actually like original. Like, I love her. And so she had messaged me, or the network, and was like super upset. She's like, am I fucking wrong in what I did? And I was like,
she created her own thing and just copied the name. The girl didn't.
Katie owned the fucking name to begin with.
Yeah, she didn't create shit.
It blew my mind. But I told her, I'm like, here's what happens. You don't ever fucking talk to her again because she's not your actual friend.
Yeah,
like, she went through in a moment where she knew she could cut you, and she used like the history you had together to do that.
Isn't that crazy though? Like, when you think you're like even like family members, friends, whatever, and you like think they got your back, and then all of a sudden like you have success in your life or something, and the people that you think you're the most friends with like turn on you. That's what's crazy to me. And I'm like, oh. And it's not like you're like parting different ways. Like they literally turn on you and they like bash you. And you're like, cool.
That's fun.
You're like, this is exciting times, but it makes us stronger. Like, I think in life, like I said, very few people will push past that. You know what I mean? They're like, they listen to those voices in their head. They listen to those friends saying, you are a shady bitch. Like, and they start saying like, maybe I did copy. Maybe I can't do this. I can't. And all of a sudden, like, they stay small. And it's like the strong, the willing, the ones that are willing to like push through that are the ones that make it. And the people that stay and say you're copycat, you're weak, like you get to this point where you're like I'm so strong, like I feel bad for you in this place. But in the beginning it's hard. It's so hard.
Oh yeah.
And that's, I mean, I think it takes like a community, and that's what's so cool about like our community is like we're all kind of trying to level up together, and so we can like empathize with when somebody's having that experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we've all been there.
Because we've all been there.
Literally all of us, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, and that's something I had said to her, I'm like, dude, I get it. Like the same exact thing happened to me whenever I started doing NBR and taking pictures and doing this. I'm like, but turns out your friend's a fucking bitch. She's not even your friend anyway. So there was a chance if that's how she's willing to treat you, number one, it's out of pure jealousy.
Right.
Because Katie is stupidly pretty. Her clothes are beautiful. Her hair's like everything about her. I'm like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. And then she rebranded and it looks so stunning, like everything. I'll show it to you later.
And there's like the contrast too of like what it was before for their like stupid shop, and then like the revamp of it, and it's like, oh my God, it's so much better.
Before it was like the toddler did it, and now it was like the fucking pro did it. I mean, her rebrand looks beautiful. It's so good.
Well, Katie, if you're listening to this, just know that when people snark back with those comments, it's because they are jealous, and honestly, it's something that she probably wished she did it, and she didn't. So you can't let those voices get inside of your head. Don't ever doubt yourself in that, and continue to push forward. And it sounds funny, but we talk about this in the salon about like protecting your mindset, because people in general, we can get in our own heads and be like, maybe I'm shady, maybe I'm this, maybe I'm a copier, maybe nobody likes me. You know what I mean? Or even with a color, if a color's going sideways, you're like, you're an asshole. Who are you? You can't do this. You can't fix this. And I joke around all the time. I'm like, you have to like kind of calmly collect yourself and go to this like peaceful place where you're like, I got this, you know, and just be like, nope, and tune out the noise and just like power through, whether it's like working individually with a client and like having that panic, or trying to up your game as in your own town wherever you work, and doing things different and stepping outside of the box and being willing to like throw yourself out there and fuck things up and like just literally like you show people like who you are. That takes a lot of guts, and I know with consistently doing that, I know that like you will break free. You will like move on to the next level. Like I know that from like experience. And so we have to work so hard on like protecting our mindset. And I know in a lot of these shows we talk about protecting what you built with color, and obviously me with NBR and my tribe and everything like that, but it's so important to protect your mindset so that you don't self-sabotage as well.
And especially because once someone gets in, it's so hard to get those thoughts out. And then you constantly like go back and forth and just sorry, Danielle's daughter is sitting outside the room. She's like, I should probably check on my kid. I'm like, maybe, I don't know. But it's true. Like if you ever let someone inside your head, then all of a sudden you're like, oh God, like did I maybe kind of sort of, well, what if? And that just fucks you up. But I think something that's so cool is that, I mean, Katie's having to do it. One of our artists, Michelle's having to do it with people inside of her salon. She's firing 4 people from her salon, Michelle is, because it came to the point where she was like, they are super negative. They drag me down. Their vibe is terrible. Well, why the fuck keep them? Like, it's a matter of like not just being able, and I feel like having the strength to let someone go in your life, like that in itself. Yeah. So like, Katie, I know you were super upset about what happened, but look at the strength you had and the power you had inside of like you and yourself to be able to be like, you know what you said to me was shitty, kind of fucked me up a little bit, but at the same time, fuck you, I'm done with you.
You know what I think of every time I think of like when I don't know why I'm like so visual, so I always think of like you're literally like just like kind of like blowing the doors off everything and like closing the doors, and like I'm walking through a hallway and I'm like closing doors, you know what I mean? And I'm like, screw you guys. And I always envision for some reason in Ani's new car, and we're driving down PCH, and I don't know why this is so fun, but we're like, fuck you, and like that's like the feeling I have sometimes when you're like on this train of like I'm doing my thing. At some point, like you don't want to be a dick, but you want to kind of look back and be like,
Fuck you.
And that's totally like a dick thing, but like for real, it's like it feels kind of good, right?
It feels good in a sense of like even like the girls in St. Louis, the ones that worked inside the suite with me. Oh, they were talking mad shit on me. Like I didn't fucking know. And then one of our mutual friends came to BMS. She's inside Mastermind, Sarah, and she was like, you know, everyone thought you were fucking crazy, and everyone was talking about it all the time. I'm like, you think I don't fucking know that? Eyes and ears everywhere. I know. I'm aware. But just so you guys know, the Black Moz is coming in like a week and a half. I'm so excited. I'm going. Woo!
Oh, it's coming? You're like getting it?
I really need to get my car detailed next week is my plan, and then I'll go after.
Did you order? Is it
She's
available?
trading it in straight up.
You don't be a fucking dick, Val.
Let's tell them the news. Ani she's getting a Maserati convertible. So the visual that you were seeing was us driving down PCH in her Maserati and telling everyone, fuck off, bitches, we're going to the top. I feel like I'm always
and she has the theme song as well playing.
I didn't even remember
me. hey, yep, just waving, no big deal. If you are not actually watching this, go to bigmoneystylistnow.com because it's just, I feel like hearing us is one thing, but when you see the shenanigans, it's a completely different experience.
I wonder if I were listening to us, I don't even know what I would visualize us looking like.
Imagine like a 1990s theme song of a girl in a convertible driving down, and she's just like bopping back and forth, and she's like, yeah, this is great. There's palm trees and sun. I'm gonna go pick up my girlfriend. We're going to the mall. If you imagine that, that's like exactly what I'm doing. You want a visual? You got one, Danielle. Oh my gosh. And I feel like, and really it's a cool moment. I actually had a student, I don't know if I said this last time, but we ended up talking about this somehow, and she was like, you're getting a Maserati, can you like afford that? Is that like a realistic thing? I was like, what the fuck? Like, yes, I work very hard, in case you don't know.
But isn't it cool that you can get to that point where you're like, wow, this is where we're at? You know what I mean? I think in life there's a lot of times where we're like, well, I can't do that because I'm not her. I can't do that. And so we play small. And we just like continue to like tell ourselves can't. That's like the theme of this show today. Get out of your can'ts and get into your cans. No.
That happened to me though, even when I was considering this car, because if we're just having an honest moment. So I own a home in Missouri.
Do you still own it?
Oh yeah, I have a rental property, Danielle. I'm an adult here. Oh, I'm an adult. It's crazy. But even when I was looking at this car, because I looked at so many convertibles, and I'm like, I don't like you. You're too round. You're ugly. I just hate you. Like, I'm apparently very picky. Good for me. And when I'm looking at it and I saw it, I don't look at the price first. I look at it after, because I fell in love with it. And then I looked at the price and I'm like,
like I just threw up a little.
Costs almost as much as the house I bought in Missouri. So I was like,
Hey, maybe you can turn it into a rental.
You want to take the car around for a spin? That'll be $300 per right turn.
Remember the guy in Newport that was like, do you want to ride in my Porsche or whatever?
Oh, that's not what he said. A guy in Newport asked me, oh my God, I'm almost embarrassed to say it. He said he would give me a Porsche or a Ferrari for 25 minutes of my time.
That's disgusting.
That's fucking gross.
I'm
sorry. And in case anyone needs me to like make this clear, I said no, and I laughed.
Are you sure?
I'm not driving a fucking Porsche Ferrari, am I? I'm buying my own car, motherfucker. I don't need you.
Do people really say he really?
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's
Ask Jill. She was with me, and I sat there, and I'm like, "Is this my life? What the fuck?" And I'm like, for future reference,
why did I move here?
25 minutes sounds sad, so shut up. You should probably stop offering that to people, but it's cool.
Go get yourself a mail order bride, you grossy.
And what was interesting, he's like, you didn't see my car outside. And if you know anything about me, I don't know fucking shit about cars. I see things and I'm like, ooh, you look pretty. I could drive you. Or I'm like, that's a fucking ugly car. I don't know.
It's cool that you don't know anything about cars and you're getting a Maserati, dick.
That's probably what probably didn't help me when I looked and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. Then I was like, no wonder I like it. It's nice.
Is this a real brand?
You're shiny.
Is this like a Kia?
I like you.
Do I put it together myself? What do I do? When Garrett asked me, he's like, what kind of car are you getting? And I was like, I don't want to show you. I go, I'm going to cover up the emblem and then I'll show you. He's like, you think I can't fucking recognize a car without the logo? I'm like, oh, you can? I'm like, is that like a thing? People do that? Good talk. Okay. That's
nice. How I felt when I first started working for Danielle. She would like wear something. I didn't know everything was like nice and expensive. I'm like, what's
Balenciagas, bitch.
I'm like, what's that? Gucky? She's like, it's Gucci, you dumb bitch. I'm like, is that nice? Like, and she would say something. I'm like, is that
Hermes?
Is that a good brand? I don't know. I haven't heard of that.
How many Gucci's do you have now?
Gucci's, I think I just have one.
Balenciaga, how many you got?
Just one.
Chloe's?
Like 3.
Those are about the only ones I can name.
Guys, I told you, I'm on the upward train. We keep going.
It's just, yes. But I want to actually jump back to something you said.
Let's get serious.
I know, sorry. We got too many jokes tonight. It's because it's late. I'm just kidding. It's very early. We're recording this as you're hearing it. It's 3 a.m., guys. Just kidding.
God.
It does get released at 3 a.m., though. So, fun fact.
Good morning.
Good morning. But no, even what you said, that a lot of times, like, we don't think we're worth it, and we tend to keep playing small because of it. And I feel like that's something, like, you have to almost, like, constantly, like, course correct yourself from, realizing that every part of you, whether it's the soft part, the hard part, the loving part, like the tough part, the creative part, the artist, the person who wants to just like travel around, like wants freedom, creative, whatever, those are all like little parts of you that make you you, and you have to protect like every little piece of you. The minute you stop, like that's when shit just starts going sideways.
Right. You have to protect your relationship with your kids, your spouse, your business. Like there's like the topic of protection really like makes or breaks a lot of areas in your life. And so I think that's why we get like super passionate about it, is because if you're not protecting one area in your life and you fall short, it ultimately affects
it spills into everything.
It spills into everything. And we'll talk about it. Like Val had a really good analogy of one of our episodes of like your boxes or you tell them. I don't know what it was. I screwed up.
Well, I just think of like how guys are. I feel like they like compartmentalize. So I'm always like if I'm at work and doing hair, then I'm in like, that's my hair box, and I'm going to give it my all, and I'm not going to worry about other things. And then when I go to BMS, I'm in my BMS box, and I'm not worrying about the clients of the day. I'm not worrying about family. When I'm at home, I try to give them like all of me, and I'm not worrying about what I left behind at work. Like I leave everything, so I'm not cross-contaminating. But if I'm like fucking up one area, I notice it does spill into the other. So if I give all of me to where I'm currently at and protect that space, then I feel like I succeed better. You know, I'm not giving like a shitty version of myself, because where I'm at, I'm giving all of me, and I'm protective of what's going on. So when I'm with a client, I'm very protective of the vibe that's around the client, what I'm teaching Jill, what I'm producing, you know, all of that. Same thing like at home. If I'm at home, I'm not bringing in any drama that's like work related and all that. So I just try to keep it separate, so that it's not like spilling into each other, and it keeps my mindset like clear that way.
I think a lot of people don't protect themselves, and that's why like even like I said, like when I first hired on like an assistant, and I felt like it wasn't a good relationship for either of us. And then I felt like so I'm grateful to have like somebody else who wanted to be an assistant. I was just like, okay, like I'll take it. And then I would like fight so hard to keep him. And I see a lot of people in our industry where they're like, they get to this place where they're like, they feel like they own this person they train, but even if that person isn't a good fit for them, they feel like they put so much time and effort into this that they can't even let them go. So they self-sabotage and they sacrifice themselves because they feel this ownership or this ownership because they put this time and training into this person who wasn't even a good fit in the first place. And it's like a tricky place to be in, because then it almost like it like, and this could go with not just in hair, this could go in any business really. And so then you get to this place where you're like, well, why, like, I don't want to hire on another person because, you know, I put so much time and they're just going to leave me. And we'll hear that from students where they're like,
they always ask that.
Yes, that's like, the one question.
Well, what if Sarah wants to leave? And I always joke around, I'm like, chain her to the salon chair. Like, well, of course Sarah's going to leave. Sarah is not, like, if you're in a place where you are chaining Sarah to the chair, why is that good for either of you? Like, that's,
she doesn't want to be there. She's not going to give you her best work.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then people, I think, get to this place where they're like, well, I can't hire somebody else on because I'm going to put all this effort into training them and then they're going to go. And that's like the mindset of even like a lot of hairstylists. And so they're like, well, screw it. I'll just do it all myself then.
Does not work, guys.
It doesn't work. And it's interesting because I've had to train assistants a lot and everybody kind of like has their time frame. Nobody really in the hair industry wants to be an assistant forever. And so even for me, like when I know, like even with Ian, my assistant now, like I knew when I first hired him, I was like, you got a ways to go. This MBR is totally new to you. I'm like, so you got a ways to go. And I legitimately was like a year at least minimum. You know what I mean? And so it gets to this place where I'm like, cool, if you're ready at a year and like we're just going to slowly like transition you, but I know I'm going to have to get a new assistant. And I don't look at it anymore like, oh my God, I spent like a year with you training you. And I look at it as like, cool, time to fly. And what I do is I'll bring on people when they're like transitioning, so it makes the transition smoother.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And even there's been like times in the past where even if I didn't anticipate this person staying, like I can't remember her name, but when I was like, Val, you want to help me? Like,
Kaylee?
Yeah, like, or like when I just knew like an assistant wasn't going to be a fit, I'd get panicky like, I'm just gonna hire 2 assistants because I'm just so busy. But really, my mind's like, fuck, I gotta get another assistant to train the new assistant so that I'm not wasting time. So it's weird. With experience, you get a little smarter with things and how you do it. And then, like, the second time you have an assistant, it speeds up the process even more because you know, like, how to delegate better. You know how to train. You know what worked. You know what didn't. And it's like you're almost on the fast track with the next person. And so if you're a stylist out there and you're scared to even make that next step, like, a lot of times that is the next step, and it's not that scary. You just kind of have to, like, you figure it out as you go.
I feel like I should be the one speaking to assistants and being scared because, like, I have never been a fan of the idea. I'm like, because I'm that control freak.
Yeah, you're the person, like, it's faster, and you work at such a fast pace that you're like, it's faster for me, and that's how I am with hair. Like, I'm like my brain just works through the fastest case scenario, and that's how you are. And so it's like, it's easier to be like, I got this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And that's how I felt. I mean, up until I've had Morgan now for 2 weeks, but up until she came and I was like, oh my God. Sorry, Morgan, if you're listening to this, but she knows I said it to her face. But I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to fucking train someone. And then, but I had to go into, I'm like, stop. If you slow it down and train her correctly, you train her once, and then she's fucking good to go on whatever it is that you're doing, especially like on the BMS side, because so much of it is like tech stuff. And even today, I had a meeting with some of the warriors to like go over some shit for like workplace and like mastermind. And I brought her with me. I'm like, okay, you're going to be in on this fucking meeting because not that I want to spend time teaching you, but I don't want to go over it twice. So you're going to be in here while I'm learning it. We're going to learn it together, and then we'll fucking course correct along the way. But even that, and I have been the queen of, I'm never going to have an assistant. I can do anything and everything myself. My bucket is so big until, but you get little leaks in it eventually because you're like, oh, fuck, I'm so tired. This is exhausting. And now I've had it for 2 weeks. I'm like, this is great. Why didn't I do it before?
Give me another one. I want 2 assistants. Give me all the assistants.
No, I'm not going to agree to that one, but I'll stick with my one. I like Morgan. I'll stick with her. But oh my gosh, I swear to God, even half her day yesterday was spent reminding me to fill out the papers for my LLC. She was like, Ani, LLC papers. I'm like, got it. And she's like, I just want you to know, I just set a reminder to remind me to remind you again later because I know you're not doing it. I'm like, oh.
That's a good assistant.
I'm like, I'm glad you've been here for a week and a half and you already know how I work. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'd also like to say she went and got food for BMS headquarters and it was a lot of healthy shit. So
she got healthy stuff?
There's like fruits and stuff too, yeah.
When we open our snack drawer at the salon, I'm sorry, but like I open it today and there's like Zowers and Goldfish and like
Oreos. Chips.
And I'm like dying because I'm very much like, I'm like a bar or like almonds, or I try not to eat junk food, you know, but it's so hard at the salon. And then we go to offer clients snacks. I'm like, would you like a gummy bear or a Twizzler?
It used to just be bars. Like there was a time that we just had bars that we offered to clients, and now I'm like, did we fucking buy yogurt? Like, who's gonna fucking hand the client a spoon in yogurt? And if I hear them gulping, I might throw up. Like, do not fucking offer my client a yogurt.
At least go with a Go-Gurt.
I think what set Morgan off is she came into headquarters today and there were 5 mini Snickers wrappers beside my on my desk, and she took a picture of that little dick, put it on Instagram, and she goes, this is what I came into today. That tells me my boss A stayed at work late and B didn't eat dinner because this was her dinner. I'm like, okay, well, you judgy dick, you're right, but damn it. So she's like, there's apples now and there's bananas and there's hummus and like pretzel chips.
I have a confession. I had mini corn dogs for dinner. I'm not proud of it. It is what it is. There was 4 on the plate. They were half eaten and half cold. That was my dinner, okay?
I feel like I should tell you I had pizza rolls for breakfast the other day. So if you want shit that's gnarly, it's not great for me some days. But
so protect your diet. Peace. I'm out.
And on that note, we actually are coming to the end now. So on that note, thanks. We're I think at episode 25 or something.
On that note, if you got any value in the show, like I am, please.
We won't do a podcast at 7 p.m. again. Okay, sorry.
It's been a full. Usually we like do it on a Wednesday when we're like amped for the day.
In the morning.
It's the end of a work day, and I'm not even sure if we delivered any value. But thanks for tuning in.
We love you guys.
So that was a terrible end frame to this. So on that note, thank you for joining us once again for another episode.
Get yourself a corn dog.
Of Big Money Stylist, episode number 25. You guys shut up. No, seriously though, we're super jacked to have you guys here. If you have not watched this, you should actually, because then you get to see the shenanigans along with hear them. Go to bigmoneystylistnow.com, and before anybody asks, the events for the BMS fall events, that schedule has not been released yet. It will be released soon. Emailing, message me, DMing me is not going to make it come out faster. Do not worry. If you want to be put on the wait list, go to bigmoneystylist.com, fill out the application, and you will automatically be put on the wait list and will receive an email when dates are available. I'll tell you guys a fun fact though. There's only 60 spots for BMS intensive
That'll
left.
sell quick.
It's gonna
But
be.
then there's convention.
Yeah, but if you're wanting to attend a small class this fall where it's only 20 people, there's only 60 spots left. Don't bother emailing me because I'm not going to save one for you. That's a fun question. Can you
I
save
know.
me a
Can you
spot?
save
I'm
me?
like,
No.
fuck you.
It's
I
not
can't.
happening.
No.
It's first come, first serve, and it will be released within the next couple of weeks. So
Fun
stay
fact,
tuned.
I'll be doing all those calls.
So this is the
Fun
face
fact,
you're going to be
it's
looking
not
at.
I do take bribery.
But it's not first come first serve then, because
No.
if we do an extensive interview process where we don't just sell you a ticket, you actually have to get on a call, and we want to find out your motives. We want to see if it's a good fit. Again,
see through it all.
upping the bar again. So just first come is not first serve. So let's retract that.
But, well, yes and no.
Yes
but if
and no.
you wait a long time to fill out your application, you're fucked because there's only 60 spots left.
Yeah.
So if you want one, let me tell you, the minute you get the email saying there's a wait list, here's the link to click to get your interview, I suggest you do it fast because Val's just going to have a running list. This person went first, and what's going to happen is she'll text you or email you back. If you don't answer, you fucking lost your spot, and you're going to get mowed over because that's what happened for BMS Con too. People, they're like, but I just waited one extra day. I'm like, and in that extra day, we closed 35 people. So I don't know what to tell you. But on that note,
But we
thank
love
you.
you.
We do love you. We're super. I'm fucking geeked out about it. So everyone have a wonderful night, day, whatever time you're listening to this, and we will see you next week. Bye.